All right, we still got this market sell-off going on, and doesn't Apple shareholders certainly know it? The stock down another 1.5% to around 108, just in case you're keeping track. From its highs, when we were north of $130, this stock has fallen about 18%. A bear market is 20% or more. The Dow itself is down about 13% from its highs, well into correction territory. But again, a lot of folks focusing on Apple and what it can do to reverse that, because it has been a leader on the upside when this market was nothing but wind at its back, and now just the opposite. A lot of folks following south. September 9th is a crucial date for Apple. Keep in mind, a lot of folks, not only its investors, but its customers and much of the technology world hanging its hats on whatever comes out of the company for that big announcement. I guess it's going to have a new phone, a 6S. They always call these interim phones before you get to the next model an S. I don't know why. Maybe this guy does. John Sculley, the former Apple CEO. John, we do know that a lot hinges on those remarks. You know what these Apple announcements are like. You made more than a few yourself. There's great expectations for them. But this one and this meeting seem particularly crucial. What do you make of what's at stake on the 9th?
Well, I think what's interesting, Neil, is that it used to be that very little ever got leaked about Apple's announcements. And now I think we have a pretty good idea in quite some detail of the products that Apple's going to be introducing. So I look at it more of how do you put into context what the implications are for Apple. I think, first of all, the iPhone is very much, keeping up its momentum. It's strong. People have wondered about China, where the growth year over year in China is down to 1.2% for the smartphone industry. And yet Tim Cook came out and said Apple's doing just fine, which means that the buying behavior has changed in China, but it has not hurt Apple. And Apple continues to be the product that people at the high end aspire to. They're just taking longer to make their decisions or save up for it because it's very expensive. It's an $800 product.
And I also say, you and I have gotten into this before, John, that Apple is a victim of its own success. Any other company that sells a couple of million of anything would be heralded as like, Moses with a spreadsheet. Now, the fact of the matter is that's not enough. With Apple, if it sells a gazillion iPhones or it announces that it sold similar number of iPads, that would be off the charts. But it's not. Expectations are always high. So expectations are not only for a revamped or newer, faster iPhone 6S or whatever they're going to call it, but some other surprises. What can you envision, and does it need that to keep going?
Well, here's the one I pay most attention to, because we've seen Apple literally change entire industries as they did the music industry. And I think Apple is poised to potentially change the entire cable television industry. What it means is that the Apple TV is going to be introduced on presumably September 9th with a new user interface, probably voice response, probably able to do a lot more things, including being the hub for the smart home.
But we should stress it won't be a physical TV just yet. That might be in the future, but that Apple TV box that goes to your TV, that will presumably be able to do a lot more, right?
That's exactly right. I think it's very unlikely Apple will go into the TV business. The reality is that's a very low margin business, and Apple doesn't need to do that. Apple can let people see their TV on their TV set. They can let them see TV on an iPad. It could be the new 12-inch iPad they're expected to announce. It could be TV on their smartphone, on the iPhone. But the key thing is that the cable television box is totally antiquated. It's really a technology that's left over from a couple of decades ago. And so there's a real opportunity for Apple to reinvent the whole experience of how you navigate over-the-top network. As you know, the new content, billions of dollars, is being invested by companies like Netflix and Amazon, and even Apple is expected to get into that business. So Apple has a big upside, I think, there.
Netflix has taken on the chin 6 days in a row with some steep selling. It's under $100 a share today. Concerns that this field is getting very, very crowded with Hulu and Roku and so many others, that maybe Apple is arriving late. What do you think?
I think the thing that's held them up is not technology at all. I think what's held them up is trying to get through the negotiations with the live broadcasters, which is very complicated because they have to go through the networks and then go with the affiliates, and it's a very complicated process.
You know what I wonder, though, John, whether a lot of the things that you mentioned sound more evolutionary than revolutionary, and maybe I've been spoiled and I should disclose I'm an Apple shareholder, have been for many, many years. I don't see much revolutionary. Should that concern me?
I think that there's enough momentum with the iPhone. I mean, Apple, some believe, gets about 94% of all the profits for smartphones. So that's a pretty good number. And there's no indication that it's slowing down at the high end. As I think you know, Neil, because we've talked about it before, I've actually started another company in Silicon Valley to go in at the budget end of the industry because there really is no strong competitor there. But Apple dominates the top of the iPhone industry and will continue to do so. I think the Apple TV could be a major product for them. But there's some things that take a long time to implement, like Apple Pay. It's not something you can introduce and expect to have it there in just a year. It's probably a 2, 3, 4 year time frame to really build out Apple Pay. So these are big, long-term momentum plays for Apple. There isn't a single product that's going to have the impact of an iPhone anytime soon.
John Sculley, thank you, my friend.